So this is the Bailey Adamo XL-DL. Now the DL stands for dual lounge, so that means it has a lounge at the front and a lounge at the back. Now the XL, that means it's on a 4,250 kilo chassis and it is 8 meters long. Now it's powered by a 2-litre Ford platform which has 165 brake horsepower. Now that additional chassis weight gives you lots of payload, up to 200% more than the sister range Adamo. So let's go and take a look at the garage to see what you can do with that extra payload. Now this has got plenty of features in there as well. There is a 230 volt socket, a 12 volt socket, there is a strip light just inside the door to my left, and there's lots of lashing points as well. So whether you're traveling with surfboard, stand-up paddleboard, whether you've got your dog crate in there, everything can be kept safe and secure. There's also a blown air heating outlet to make sure that this stays up to temperature. Now here, you can access this inside, or you can simply lift this up. See that hanging rail above, and you can have full length hanging in the garage. So should you be visiting the coast with surfboards or paddleboards, going to a dog agility event, or even if you've been to that French hypermarket to get a few bottles of wine in the back, the garage is the perfect place. But let's go inside as it's so cold and warm up. So I'm sat in the rear lounge of the Adamo XL-DL. Now this is one of 2 lounges. Now this has 2 modes, day mode and night mode. It's currently configured in day mode, U-shaped lounge, lots of room for lounging around with you and the family. And there's also 3 windows. There's one either side and also one behind me. That gives you a panoramic view of your surroundings. Now night mode, this makes up into a generous single bed, and there's a double bed above me. Now if it's time to go to bed, all you do is you push a button at the front and your double bed drops down. It is as simple as that. It can drop down to a level so you can use this single bed as well. So storage wise, there's plenty of room for your essentials. Now we've already looked at the garage. The cupboards here behind me can either be used solo, separately, or there's a flap in this cupboard to my left. You lift it up and you can access anything that's in the garage from that side. Now these reading lights behind me, not only do they make it a nice environment, there are also USB points in there as well, so you can charge up your iPad, your phone, or your other digital essentials. Now being an XL Adamo, that extra large translates to the kitchen. This has up to 50% more worktop space than its sister Adamo range. Now the worktop and splashback is finished in white marble. As you can see, lots of worktop space. If you like to cook, you will have the space to do so. Lots of storage too. So we have cupboards above, cupboards below as well. So whether you like to take lots of food with you, lots of pots and pans to make that extra special meal, you won't be disappointed. Now talking of cooking, if you lift up that worktop flap and the glass cover, you have a dual fuel hob. That means you have an electric hot plate and 3 gas burners. Below that, you have a separate grill and a separate oven. Now, when it's time for the washing up, let's face it, it does come to all of us at some point. We have a flexible swan neck mixer tap, which makes cleaning pots and pans that much easier. To my right is a very large Thetford fridge freezer, 150 litres for the fridge, 17 litres for the freezer itself. And when you've finished in the kitchen, the washroom is opposite, just through this door. It has a separate Belfast style sink and storage below in a handy cupboard, as well as more storage above behind that vanity mirror. There is a shower in there as well as that separate loo, and should you need additional hanging space for wet coats, etc., there's a hanging rail by the Hecky skylight. You simply pull it down and your wet clothes will drain into the shower tray. So I'm now sat in the front lounge of the XL-DL. Again, as with the rear, there are 2 modes, day mode and night mode, currently configured in day mode. So the front seats swivel around and you can then talk to everyone else that is in the lounge. Now, it's worth mentioning that there are 5 dedicated travel seats. Obviously, we have the 2 in the front. There are 2 to my left, and to my right, there is another one that simply pops up underneath that lounge cushion. Now, when it's time to go to bed, nighttime mode, you simply press a button and this double bed comes down from above. Now, while I'm here, let's talk about technology. There are 4 230-volt sockets, there are 6 USB sockets, and there are 2 TV points. One for the front lounge where I am now, and one for that rear U-shaped lounge. Now, the technology doesn't end there, because this is pre-wired for Wi-Fi, as all Bailey vehicles are, and it is fitted with a Truma Combi 6E system. Now, that means that your heating and hot water is taken care of by one unit. And to keep all that powered up, on the roof is a 200-watt Truma Flexi solar panel. Now, we've talked about the technology in the living area, but now we're going to cover the tech in the cab unit. So what I'll do now, we'll just spin these chairs round and we'll go for a drive. Now, with the ignition on, we have this huge infotainment system. You can also connect to Apple CarPlay, or if you're an Android user, to Android Auto. Now, this will allow you to use apps on your phone like Google Maps or Waze, or even have your text messages read out to you so that you can keep your eyes on the road. So using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is as easy as plugging in with this USB cable. Simply goes into the back of your phone, and then you have full functionality of your phone. If you've never driven a large vehicle before, this is a very car-like platform to drive. Great visibility from the front and also from those mirrors. You've also got blind spot mirrors, which makes manoeuvring very easy. And as soon as you select reverse, you get a great display on this screen. So if you're reversing onto a pitch, into a supermarket car park, etc., it's a very easy thing to do. Right, so it's certainly a bright and crisp morning in Bristol, currently -2 as we're filming this. But I think that underlines how adaptable these leisure vehicles are. This has an Alutech body shell, and I've stayed in Bailey vehicles with the same body shell, -20 in the Dolomites, up to a trip to the Sahara Desert. So if you are thinking of buying an Adamo XL, regardless of where you want to go the time of year, it will certainly look after you. Now, talking of looking after you, this layout is incredibly adaptable. Lounge at the front, lounge at the rear, lovely lots of room at the back in that U-shaped lounge, and above each is a drop-down bed. So you could have the drop-down at the front, drop-down at the rear, or just one or the other. Now, that makes it a great vehicle for traveling as a couple or as a family.